it was the Vietnam War. There was a really powerful and strong anti-war movement, of which I was a part of, an anti-conscription and anti-war movement. And I mean, you could tell from that, I mean, to me the film is always teaching me. I'm always learning from my own film. So that, in a sense, the footage itself is speaking to that era, particularly the first 2/3 of the film. So the footage of the Women's March and the demonstrations, or the footage of the kind of women's communes and the kind of like back to the land movement. I mean, the whole period of the 70s was one of kind of revolt, visionary, kind of like, look at the quotes by Monica Wittig that are in the film, where she's speaking to a kind of like sense of a community of women that's kind of like goes way, way back to kind of like, you know, pre-industrial times to Mycenaean times, a kind of sense of women's power. And we were all enthused by that. You know, it was the time. And I mean, I'm kind of probably going off topic a bit, but as I watched the film tonight, I haven't seen the film since Trump was elected. Okay, so it's kind of like tonight I watched the film in the era of Trump now as the president. And to me, the sense of urgency that I have now is more now than it was like 2 months ago, because we have to find that solidarity and communalism and coming together once again, because this is the historical moment. And it was like that in the 70s. I mean, the Vietnam War, preceding that, the Korean War, which was perhaps before those of us who were activists in the Vietnam War, anti-war movement, we didn't really even acknowledge the Korean War and what happened there. But we were kind of like, we thought we could overthrow the government. We thought we could overthrow that pre-existing conservatism. So to kind of be living through this moment of Trump and to see, I mean, I'm off topic of the film, but I'm not really, because it's kind of connected, is that we have an Australian government, and it's, you know, so-called progressive, it's the left, so-called, but they're completely complicit to Trump. And for me, it's one of the great moral questions in my mind at this time is, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? I want to do something. So the film kind of reflects that period where we did do something, and those of us who became involved, I mean, we voted to get Whitlam into power. We got the troops back from Vietnam. We abolished conscription. We brought in equal pay for women. This is all in my film, my collective film, For Love or Money, where equal pay, childcare, abortion rights, you know, we brought all that in. And now we're watching what's happening in America, and it's like Margaret Atwood, when she wrote The Handmaid's Tale, was completely prescient, because we're now living through the reality in America of The Handmaid's Tale. It's true, it's happening, it's scary. And if Dutton gets in, it's scary for us. Now, my colleague John Hughes, and this links into the collective in a way, and collective filmmaking, just screened his film, I saw it 3 nights ago, it's called Twilight Times, and it's about Des Ball, who was a great activist against the nuclear era and Pine Gap. Well, his film completely documents that we are a vassal of America. And I'm going into a bit of a lecture, I'm off topic, but I suppose I'm throwing it up to you. We have to reinvent and find the solidarity to somehow speak out about these times. And we did that then, and we can do it now. If that answers your question a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say, you know, this film moves along in different ways.
When I was editing that footage, I just remembered Kate Jennings, who was also involved in the house and had a relationship with one of the guys in the house. Everyone was having relationships with everybody. Those were the times, you know. As well as all of the revolt, you know, the relationships were. And I just, when we were editing that I was editing that sequence with that footage from that house. I remembered Kate's book of poetry, Come to Me, My Melancholy Baby, because that sequence in the film is called 1970s, The Age of Free Love. And we all know, in hindsight, I say many of us women know, who lived through that period, that we were, I'll speak for myself, exploited, were naive, didn't understand what we were doing, and got into a kind of a mess. Yet the period is kind of like not looked at really properly, you know.
A lot of
nostalgia and some grey and all that. And so the thing about Kate that was really interesting is that her poetry always spoke the dark side of that time, and she did have a breakdown, and she did go into the bin, and she wrote her poetry from that time. And I was in that sequence of that footage from the house, and I thought, Kate, and I have her books, so I went to the shelf box and had a look. Yes, the poem, it would go perfectly in that sequence. So that's just one example. I didn't really have to look for the other quotes because I already had them. And like the three Maria's quotes are in my film Maidens, and Maidens is dedicated to